Hi, this is Rich Boren, the owner of Cruiser Services, and I'm the U.S. distributor for Schenker Watermakers. Well, we're looking at all of the Schenker Watermaker components, talking about what they do, what maintenance they need, what to think about as you're mounting them, what are some do's and don'ts during the mounting process. So here we have the feed pumps for the Schenker Zen models 30, the single pump, and 50. We're looking at the outlet side, and you know it's the outlet side because you'll see a pressure transducer that monitors the outlet pressure from the feed pump on the outlet side. On the inlet side of the pumps, there's another hose barb, and is where the electrical box is mounted. So just quickly glancing at the pump units, you're easily able to identify the inlet and outlet by what side they're on. And there's also a label here, labeled seawater inlet. But just glancing at it quickly, you know that the electrical box is on the inlet side. The outlet side has the pressure transducer. So obviously the Zen 30 has one of the SureFlow feed pumps. The Zen 50 is similar to different models that uses the dual feed pumps, but it has two of them mounted together. Now you have heat sinks on the motor, the cooling fans that only run when the pumps are running, and they should always run when the pumps are running. They help dissipate some of the heat. Now this is the only electrical component on the unit that's generating heat. So you have to have some considerations of mounting this in a space where you can handle a little heat dissipation. These pumps need to be mounted at or preferably below the water line. That way they can easier have inlet suction. Now, there is some restrictions here on mounting location in terms of proximity to the through hole. We don't want there to be more than 6 feet of tubing from your through hole to the inlet side of the feed pumps. Can it be maybe 7? Okay, there's a, maybe, but you want to keep that to 6 feet of tubing or less. Why? Feed pumps don't like to suck. They don't mind pushing. You can have 15, 20 feet of outlet from the outlet of the pump to the next component in line, which is going to be your 5-micron pre-filter. Then it goes into the actual black box ERS water maker. But that side can handle the pressure, the line loss. On the suction side, pumps don't like to suck. It wants to go raw water, through hole, raw water strainer, the T that we talked about earlier in the video number 2, and then into the pump. That distance needs to stay of 6 feet of tubing. So that's something to pay attention to. Now, every once in a while, someone will ask us, hey, this electrical box, does it have to stay on the pump group unit? No, it can be mounted remotely. It's held on with some screws to the mounting bracket. If you just want to extend the fan and the electrical cable wire going to the motor, that's fine. You could mount that in a different location. Every once in a while, someone needs to do that because in order for the flows in and out, this would be up against the bulkhead. Now, we'll open this box up in a minute and take a look. There's some switches in here and some things you need to do in here. This is where the electrical connections are made. And there's also some bypass switches inside that you may need to periodically have access to for maintenance. So you want to be able to put your hands on this electrical box. You don't want it to be obstructed or mounted in a position where you just can't access it. So now let's zoom in on these units a little bit closer and we'll talk about some of the parts and components. Okay, so let's look at these units. It'll say the voltage here on the front of the box. This is a 24 volt unit. They come in 12 or 24 volt. So obviously we have the wire penetration glands. Here's the one for your power to come into. This one is set for your wire that you're going to run to the freshwater flush solenoid that we talked about in a prior video. The cooling fan, it has rubber dampening feet to help dampen the vibration noise that could be transferred. Now let's look inside the box. Okay, so let's open up this Zen 50 box and look at the inside. So it has a piece that kind of holds the box from getting lost. When I'm doing an install, I'll just gently pull that and pop it off and set it aside. You know, inside is some of the information in there. So we can see in here, let's just look at what we have here. This is the cord cable that's just inside some foam for the remote panel. It plugs into the remote panel spot. So you have your electrical wires that are going to come in here for your main power. And then you're going to have this gland, exiting gland, is going to leave the electrical box and head to the freshwater flush solenoid. So just some of the items inside this box, because people kind of ask what's going on in here. So let's just take a quick look. This is the freshwater flush solenoid override. So you can freshwater flush using this freshwater flush bypass switch inside the electrical box if something ever happened to your remote panel. Or if you're trying to prime the unit and you're down here at the controls, this will help you prime because it pushes fresh water from your system into the unit. These two switches here, switch 1 and 2, those are the bypass switches that bypass the electronic controls and energize these pump relays, pump 1 and pump 2, that then turn on the different pumps. So you can operate the unit with these bypass switches. You're just bypassing the electronic controls when you do that. So you have to be careful because you have no high pressure cutout alarms. So it's very simple inside. You have an outlet for your electrical freshwater flush solenoid and an inlet for your electrical power 12 or 24 volt DC. So on this Zen 30 unit, we have the bag off the cord, and you can see that this plug plugs into the back of your remote panel. So that's very easy to do to run this through the boat, and it can be extended, but it also is 30 feet long originally, so it should make it up to your panel. Now, one thing to think in terms of maintenance, if you ever need to access and change this diaphragm pump out, these are the two screws that you're going to remove, and that takes the pump motor off of its mounting frame. You don't have to actually unbolt these. You just undo these 2 bolts. The pump will come out of its mount, undo the plumbing, and then you'll basically remove it out the side to service it, check the diaphragm that's inside the head. This, again, we mentioned is the pressure transducer that's monitoring the pressure here on the feed pump outlet. One of the questions I routinely get is, do they need to be mounted with this on the base? Well, it's conveniently done that way, but I have done an installation where I just didn't have the room to mount them in this orientation. So I actually mounted this on a bulkhead this way through both to a bulkhead. Actually, the pumps, it was like this because then I could look down into the locker and see the electrical box. So they can be mounted that way. I would just never want to mount it with the pump head above the motor. That way, anytime you're making connections, you're servicing it, you're checking the diaphragms. If there was a leak in the pump head, you'd rather gravity take the water and the drip away from the motor than into it. So that's one reason it's mounted in this vertical configuration with the head on the bottom. So just to review the pump basics, the flow path, so you can kind of have it in your head. You're going through hole, raw water strainer, the T that we talked about in a prior video, and then you're going into the inlet side of the feed pump. From the outlet side of the feed pump, you always easily know the outlet because it has the pressure transducer on it. From there, we move and flow into the 5 micron pre-filter assembly, and we'll discuss that here in our next video.